But rocking is super simple. It's cross-body linear movement, although you can do it at angles to the body. We didn't really play with that. It's a little more tricksy way to do it, but super straightforward. Rolling, the one that I prefer, the traditional rolling, is the same body mechanic of rocking, but at the end of the stroke, you're only deviating the wrist, or radially deviating the wrist rather, using that fifth phalange and MP joint. Traditional or TCM rolling, or the modern rolling, has the extension of the wrist and flexion while you're supinating and pronating. Shanghai is the really simple one, just rolling it over and back. Pushing we did with the square stance. That's the really awkward mechanic at first.
45 degrees?
Down and across, yes. Not trying to press straight towards the table, across the table while you're doing it.
Right.
Pushing down or pressing is just a change mostly in direction. Instead of across, it's more traditional, the down approach that Western massage likes. Pressing is just more specific as opposed to pushing, and tends to be much deeper in depth, heavier pressure. And can be done with lots and lots of different parts of the hand. And that blurs into the next one, the penetrating. Penetrating is like pressing, but even deeper.
It's smaller area of penetration than.
Yes. Yeah. You basically are moving from lighter to deeper and from broader to more specific with those three. Grasping is exactly what it sounds like. We did double-handed with the front to back mechanic, and we did single-handed alternating with the side to side, trying to suck into the palm of the hand and use the whole surface of the fingers, not just the tips. Brushing and wiping are effleurage. They are light, over-the-surface techniques. We tend to use circular patterns in Tui Na, so wiping in towards the body or brushing out in a way, but same essential idea. Scrubbing is the very, very vigorous across the skin, usually over the kidneys, but can be other places, back and forth. That's the one to be careful with kidney stones. Round rubbing is a circular motion. It tends to be on the skin or moving the skin over the muscle. So it's the most superficial of the sort of circular patterns. Kneading is the deeper variant of that. So kneading has pressure deep down where you're moving the muscles over the bones or over each other, depending on where you're working. You can move across the skin with kneading, but that's much trickier, especially with clothes. If you're working skin on skin, you can keep that heavier pressure and glide if you have lotion on. But you definitely want to be focused on moving lower level tissues.
So rubbing, you're still making circles, and you're moving just the skin?
You're moving across the skin, or you're moving the skin across the muscle.
Okay.
So you're in that heaven level, that light, superficial touch, as opposed to the deep.
And then the kneading, you're deeper, sort of pushing down.
Holding that pressure while making those circles.
Okay.
Definitely. Slapping and striking are percussion or totem. Different structures. You use the fingertips. You'll see actually one that's sometimes done in China is the crane's beak, where they put all five together so they can hit one spot.
Ooh.
It's kind of tough on the hand to hold, but some people like it. You can use the cupped hand or the loose fist as well, either hitting with the ulnar surface or the cupped hand, which is pretty typical in Western massage as well. Flipping over. Oh, we actually left off one. We left off ringing. Totally missed ringing. Ringing is really a combination of grasping and a rotational aspect. It's used almost entirely on limbs. So it's one we'll actually do a lot tomorrow. Yeah, it's kind of like wringing out a dish rag. You'll see it combined with pulling techniques. So I'm wringing and pulling down the limb a lot. We're going to do a lot of work on the arms and legs with that tomorrow. It's a fun technique. Pinching we've already talked about, but we'll go back over because we're doing that. Used mostly for single points, either done between the index and middle finger hip joints or between the thumb and the index finger. They call that a monkey pinch.
Shaking, jostling?
Shaking and jostling are rapid oscillations to create waves of movement in the body. You can do it with any part of the body. Thenar imminence is common. Knuckles are common. Whatever is most comfortable. Flick poking and strumming is the cross fiber manipulation, pushing in, keeping the pressure, and rolling back and forth across a taut band of muscle fiber. You can call it myofascial strumming if you want to be fancy.
Thank you.
One finger meditation is a combination of that sort of jostling effect with pressing in one spot, specific to the thumb. Again, more important for stimulating specific points than anything else, though it does work well for muscle attachments. And then linear and circular mobilization, we're going to do in detail on Monday. Basically whether or not you're sticking to one plane of movement or if you're doing circumduction and moving through a variety of planes of movement. Bam! All of class in 5 minutes.